Hey guys, welcome back. In today's video I'm going through the process of making Shinrin the Great Forest Stag, so stay tuned. So first off, I'm starting with a resin cast of an original sculpture by me, and I've cast some glass eyes into this resin head so that way it's a little bit more realistic. And I'm going to attach these horns. They're made of plastic and I got them online, so they're a bit more sturdy and they're not really fragile because Sculpey, I've tried that before and they're really fragile, so these you can knock around and they won't break. And as you can see, I have carved out some little sections in the top of the head for the horns to fit, or the antlers to fit. And then I'm going to be attaching them using some epoxy sculpt. And epoxy sculpt is like a two-part like epoxy that will go rock hard and will keep those antlers in place so they don't fall off. And it usually takes about 24 hours to fully cure. So once that has been cured and there's no chance of me knocking things off the head, I'm going to go ahead and decorate the horns. And I haven't done this before on this particular sculpt, so this is only my second stag sculpt. So I wanted to do something a bit more mythical and, you know, just something a little bit different than the rest of my sculpt. So it looks a bit more foresty and a bit more magical. And once that's dry, I'm going to go ahead and paint the antlers Mars black by a paint called Devian Matisse, and it's made in Australia, so I'm not sure if you can find it out in America, but it's quite a thick paint and it's got a bit more of a brown tone to this black, so I didn't want like a jet black, I wanted a brown tone, so this would just be the underlayer anyway, so and then I'll be going over the top with a like a green sheen. So here's what we've got. It's painted all black, and then I'm just going to leave it to dry, and then I'm going to come back with some metallic paint to go over it. In the meantime, I can go over the backstory of Shinrin the Great Forest Stag. The Great Forest Stag is something of mythical legends. It is very rarely seen and only appears around those who need help. The stag has the ability to heal with its tears, but will only produce tears for those that are pure at heart. It swiftly moves through the trees, and its iridescent green and brown antlers glisten in the light, taking the appearance of the forest herself, with its brown coat covered in moss, leaves and plants. Because of its coat, it's very difficult to see and blends into the surroundings perfectly. As this stag is a magical being, there is only one stag known in existence. No one knows where it came from or how old it is, but legend has it the forest spirit Kodama created it to help those in need. The Great Forest Stag is found in the thick forests of Kalatha on the mainland Nanklandara. So there you have it. I hope you enjoyed that story. Now I'm just going to go over, as I said before, with a metallic paint, and it is that same paint by Jacquard called Lumiere, and it's really nice paint and covers really well. Alright, so painting up the little hooves, and again this is a resin cast, and that has a ball and socket armature cast in the resin. Moving on to the fur, so I'm going to be using this faux fur for the body, for the whole body, and it is a really difficult fur to work with. It's really thick, and the thicker the fur is, the harder it is to sew and the harder it is to work with. So it is a really nice texture and sort of looks very foresty, but yeah, when you run it through the sewing machine, just be careful if you have thick furs, because you can snap a needle if you have a sewing machine that isn't very strong or isn't really made for heavy things like an industrial machine is. So I only have just a standard Brother sewing machine, so I've got to be a bit careful when I'm sewing this particular fur. So as you can see, I've drawn out all my patterns onto the back of the fur, and I'm just cutting everything out with a small pair of sharp scissors, and I prefer to use a small pair of sharp scissors just because using bigger pairs of scissors tend to not get in between the pile of the fur and ends up cutting it. So when you have a smaller scissor, it gets in between the fur really nicely. So once I've cut it all out and I have sewn it all up on the sewing machine, I then leave the back end open so I can flip the body the right way around, and also leave the legs open so I can flip those inside out too, and that way it makes it a little bit easier and it's not such a struggle to get those leg pieces back through. Alright, so once it's been flipped the right way around, you can see here it's just you know, regular old body, nothing special. I'll then go ahead and insert the armature into the body and attach all of the pieces. It's great with the ball and socket. It makes it really, really easy. I do have a video coming on that, so just be patient. I've just got lack of time lately. And I will then go ahead and sew up all the loose ends. So I'm going to go ahead and sew up the leg piece using a ladder stitch, and I do highly recommend getting a thread that is high quality. It makes a world of difference if you get a good quality thread. It doesn't really get tangled up and it doesn't sort of fray or anything, so yeah, don't skimp on the thread because it does make a difference. And I mean, you can search on YouTube for ladder stitch tutorials. There's plenty of them around, so there's really no need for me to make one. Alright, so once I have sewn it all up, I'll then go ahead and attach the faux fur piece to the resin using some tacky fabric glue, and you can just use any tacky fabric glue. I get one from Spotlight here in Australia. It's just their standard fabric glue, nothing special. But it does hold really, really well. It's a struggle to actually get the fur off the resin once it's stuck. Alright, so once that's done, I'll go ahead and fur the face, and again, I'm not going to do a tutorial on that just yet until I've decided how I want to do it or if I want to do it. But I'm just going to show you, this is before any shading has been applied to the fur, and then I'm going to go ahead and show you just some shading that I've done on this side of the face, and you can tell how it's made a difference to the aesthetics and the character of the face. So shading really, really does make a difference. I'll try and include a video one day, I'm not too sure when, about shading. So I do plan on making a Patreon, but it might be on there, it might not be, I'm not too sure yet. Just I'll let everybody know on my social media pages. So this girl was supposed to be in my Etsy shop, but she may or may not have been snapped up. I'll let everybody know on my social media again. So that's it for me today, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. You can also check me out on Instagram and Facebook at Creatures of Nat, and I'll catch you next time. Bye!